Yeah, if Antarctica meant anything, somebody like Dr. Mike wouldn't have changed his position after 60 some years of being a glober and practically overnight, you know, came up with the celestial theodolite observation and became a flat earther. I mean, that
Yeah, so
speaks
it's like,
volume.
yeah, I agree. So it's like you find out these things, are the case, right? That all motion is relative from an inertial or non-moving reference frame. That we measure all motion relative to ECEF, or center Earth fixed reference frame. We measure all changes in elevation from a horizontal. All these things be the case. Now let's just find out what's making the sky move. But no, it's all right. We'll reaffirm the globe. That's it.
Yeah, like the further I get into any of like the physics, like in quantum, when some guy I couldn't even repeat what he said exactly, but quantum ends up invoking an ever-present background medium, but he says that somehow it's not real and it's just mathematical. And it's just like
This is
shit isn't really as complicated as you guys make it out to be.
Oh, they make it so like they make reality so complicated. Yeah, because you have to be spinning, you have to be on a globe. These things have to be the case. I mean, this is the thing, right? This could be like the thing that I would say separates um, these two type of minds. If NASA or whoever, if the authorities came out, all the guys that they quote now currently, if they came out tomorrow and said, "Listen, guys, the Earth is flat and stationary, absolutely, and flat as far as levels horizontal and stationary, they would flip. But there's other people who wouldn't. So those are the different types of minds. Those who would, if their authority figures flip, they would flip. And there's others that if their authority figure flips, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can understand wanting to have like I said, the globe has a really cohesive, nice story. All the math will work out. All the things will make, quote unquote, make sense in the narrative of globe. It's a nice story and everything. It's just not the case. And some people like to have, and it's not something I would blame you for. Some people like to have reality, tied up in a nice little bow and handed to them, and then there's no doubt, and they can go through at least that part of life not worrying. It's not a bad thing to have.
What a shallow life.
No, I don't think that makes it shallow or anything. I understand like wanting to have that peace of mind to say, well, listen, it's all explained. That part I know now. I can move forward in some other part of my life and whatever that would be and fulfill it in a meaningful way. Yeah, but to
What?
argue and
Wait.
never, I'm saying, but to argue and never propose any kind of ideas that would make the quote unquote flat Earth work, whether it's two celestial poles, the mechanism that the things in the sky move, whether it's a dome or reflection, actually instead of building, there's some guys in this Discord who will build a 6 month, a 6 month, quote unquote experiment of Cavendish, just to reaffirm the Cavendish that's been, built thousands of times. Like what kind of shit is that? Like, what are you wasting your time on?
Now, what kind of life can you actually have if it's built on false premises?
Well, it's never going to be built on false. It's always going to be built on whatever reality is. So I mean, it won't really it wouldn't really make a difference.
Well, not really, because people who believe they live on a globe, they live in the same reality that we all live in, but they view it through a different lens, so they behave differently in the world.
I agree with that. Yep.
And typically they behave in a way to their own and everyone else's detriment.
My apologies for maybe getting a little passionate earlier, but I think we all feel that way, and I think it was a little too heated a second ago. And
I
I'd like
think
to
they've
have this conversation just getting a little bit better.
I think they've been disassociated with the truth. They don't know what the truth is.
But to be honest, let's get real here. We're still trying to find some of the truth too, right? I'm still trying to find a lot of truth every day, and the more I find, I think the more I start realizing the shit I don't know. But there are the things that we still have to clarify that we cannot forget that we already know.
I've just got two quick comments. Firstly, like you said, Stace, it was an observation and not an experiment. If it were an experiment, what variable did they independently test against? And if one observation should make you give up your entire worldview, why were there still globe believers after the black swan? Because if that observation was concrete, no globe believer should have believed in a globe after that single observation. But then the second point is the only thing that Jeranism and them did in Antarctica was put question marks against the AE projection map. And if you look at the Gold-Peters map versus the Mercator projection, we know that there is no truly accurate projection. So putting a question mark against the AE projection is all they did. The other hundreds of pieces of evidence that show that it's not a spinning sphere are taken into consideration independently of a single observation, which puts question marks against the projection.
Amen. Thank you for that. And I think a lot of us already had questions in the first place and why people were already going to a map and we were already upset with that. And now others have who's even gone to Antarctica have said it should have never happened. That's another problem.
They would have had nothing.
What was that, sweetheart? We would have had nothing then.
I said if no one went, no one
Oh,
went from the flat earth, what would they have? Just a bunch of gays going out to Antarctica to run around in t-shirts.
So there's actually another a version of flat Earth that's not centered around the Gleason map. It's called the dual pole flat Earth model, and that model doesn't have an issue with the 24-hour sun in Antarctica. So that version of flat Earth doesn't deny the outcome of the final experiment. Based on my experience with this dual pole model, I've been trying to share this model in this Discord communities for the past 3-4 years, and I could count on in my hand the amount of people that even wanted to entertain it that were flat earthers.
Oh,
Yeah, because who cares about models? I mean, seriously, unless it's wearing a bikini, it doesn't matter.
Listen to this. We need some moderation here.
guys.
I'd like to finish this. My general experience of sharing this superior flat Earth model to flat earthers was a hostility guaranteed within 5 minutes. I bring this up to flat earthers now because flat earthers don't have to deny reality. We don't have to claim Witsit's lying, the thing is CGI, people are being disingenuous. We could update our flat earth model, which we never chose in the first place. It was handed to us, and look into it and question it and learn some more.
Handed to you by who?
And possibly that. Okay, so go on, Stacy. You have to say something. Really
I'm
bad.
being serious here. It was handed to you, said. Handed to you by who? And if you're going to have a model, that's fine. You want to have one, that's fine for yourself. Cool. But I understand that for you to have that model, you're going to have to know and have already explored and understand that that is the limits and everything in this place. And you haven't done that. Nobody here has done that. And I cannot justify then a model, but it's just basically fantasy for me.
Yeah, well,
I think he was saying the AE model was handed to us.
Right.
I mean, models are boring.
All of them.
Yeah, the path of the truth seeker it's a tough one, and it requires a lot of falling down, a lot of learning, wiping off your face, and continuing forward. And good luck, you guys. I said what I have to say.
If it makes you feel any better, if it makes you feel any better, if I don't deny their observation in Antarctica. I mean, if that's what's happening in reality, then that's what's happening in reality. That's why I had mentioned. I said if there's two poles, then there's two poles. Like, I mean, I've always kind of took the viewpoint or made the argument that it's, you know, what we see is probably what is the case in a way. Like, so if we see 2 points of rotation, then maybe there are 2 points of rotation in the sky.
You see, the issue is the community outside of this very rare server, thanks to Geo, doesn't get to even entertain such ideas because you've got guys like Not Hearsay who's venomously, disgustingly attacks it, berates it, doesn't want to look into it, gaslights, denies, and I'm glad this server exists.
You got to try harder.
But I don't want to keep fighting like we just were earlier about the same issue that it shouldn't even be an issue right now.
Well, that's all he wants to do, though, is fight. That's his MO.
Stacey, it is an issue. The final experiment revealed something. There is an issue.
Denying
reality and just going back to the comfort of let's just talk about Globers and the Glober model.
No one ever said that.
And this is weird. You're such a weirdo, dude.
No, I'm
How
not
did-
listening. He's a nice guy somehow.
How did the Anarch observation change anything, bud? Like, really, seriously, scientifically, how did it change anything? You think it changed how I argue flat Earth? How I would debate it?
That's up to you, bud.
Change something about physics? Didn't change anything about physics, man. We already had southern star rotation. We already knew that, so most of us knew that it was possible about the sun. A lot of people didn't like it. You know, I think it's sad, unfortunate fact that there are people out there that are going in circles saying it didn't happen with whatever excuse they can come up with. Like, you know, it happened, so what? But it's the same exact thing as before. The only curvature you ever find is in the sky. That's it.
There you go.
Didn't give you anything new.
AE map it is. Gleason map it is.
You know, it's interesting and giving quite a
Takes
bit of
work
thought
to
to
move-
that, and we actually
It takes
still
work to move
navigate.
further than that.
You know,
It's much easier to just, stay stagnant and believe in falsehoods.
Try harder.
Well, I'm not going to believe in a map either, sweetheart. But why is there a problem here? We already agreed to this stuff. Besides that,
The problem is if Earth's level in stationary is the Gleason map is misrepresenting the size of Antarctica and virtually everything else in the southern hemisphere. It's based on falsehoods.
okay.
Does anyone really care about this?
Of course not. Of course you guys don't. I'm not here to convince you to care. That's a quality of your character.
I mean,
Of
you're still
course not.
talking, so you are
get it,
trying.
bud. You don't care. Hey,
Guys,
let me go
I
on
don't know
mute,
how
guys.
productive this is going to get.
Hey, okay, you
Being
gotta
real with
chill,
you.
bro. Like, this is the second time I'm telling you. But what's wrong?
Will
today,
do.
man?
Will do. I'm gonna go on
Please.
mute. Let's see how this show goes forward.
No,
Any,
but contribute, but like, just chill, bro.
Hallelujah.
is there any globe evidence with a radius of 3959 today? Or
Oh yes, sir. Exactly 3959. I measured. Yeah. I measured. I learned this from Miggy.
Yes, you did.
Alpha Veritas. I measured for
Miggy?
flat. I measured for flatness, and I didn't find flatness. So that proves exactly 3959 radius.
Wow.
Jesse, did you assume
That's
that was on
brilliant.
a ball before you made your assumptions?
If you don't like my logic, go to
It's the,
Miggy because he said that flat earthers. It wasn't even him who had measured, but had measured for curvature of exactly 3959 and hadn't found it. So
Well-
therefore, it must be exactly flat. So
Well, listen to this. I was speaking with Jabal the other day, and he said that he made some measurements, and he made his own measurements. So then I questioned, how did you make those measurements? And I asked a simple question, did you use GPS? And he said yes. I go, so therefore you assumed you was on a ball before you made those measurements, because those measurements are for a ball, the GPS. So when you say you've measured things, I don't believe you.
well, I didn't use GPS. I was measuring drop over distance.
Yeah, but remember when you said that you used temperatures from nearby airports, which weren't really nearby airports, and, you know, you factored in your refraction and your humidity from those readings, which are very exaggerated. So, you know, you're not very genuine either, so...
What do you mean? I've been always open about what I did and what I didn't did. And
He's being
hold
facetious.
on. I did measure, and it did not measure flat. So by
So how did you measure the
So let's see. You know he's being facetious, right? He's talking shit about Miggy, and he's just saying if I measured any change in the vertical, then I didn't measure flat, therefore I measured the globe. You know, he's being facetious.
If you don't like Miggy's logic, take it up with him.
I don't like Miggy.
Jesse, you're getting your
How did you measure for flat? I would love, because last time you were talking about how you've done measurements for the satellites, you was taking these 20 million mile shots, and I was just thinking like, why wouldn't you just go 300 meters and, you know, go back on yourself and like verify, establish that you're on a globe before you actually assume you're on a globe?
Hey Dan, how's it going?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Lots to talk to you
Go
about.
nice, Chris.
I was watching you on a video by Taboo Conspiracies, Dan.
What?
There he is. Look a little skinnier back then.
I think you have it backwards.
Oh,
Everyone
yeah.
calls me fat, but I'm a lot skinnier than I used to be.
Yeah, I was watching.
I mean,
like,
my pants don't fit.
well, you could be just stretching them out, or it could be like the centrifugal force or something pulling on them. I don't know.
I had the pleasure of being the guest on Jaren's VIP show.
All right.
You know,
Anyway.
I haven't been able to speak to him honestly in 6 years. Like, he's been just as bad a cockblocker as anyone else. You know, and it's so funny to hear him talk because it's like, dude, that was just you. You know, it was just him with that same party line. You know, and I'm pretty embarrassed for what's left of Flat Earth. I think they should never have done what they just did with the roundtable. I was
Could we
hugely
maybe
embarrassed.
not eat while talk, bro?
Oh, okay.
We can hear
Why
him
don't
just
I?
fine.
Why don't I worry about that?
Wait,
And
what happened at the round table? What round table? What? Huh?
well, see, this is part of the flat Earth problem. Is we fucking ignore everything that goes on around us, and it's
Dude, stop
disgusting.
with the weed shit,
I've
bro.
been really busy, so I'd love to know if there's something I missed about something
Who's
about a
we
round
in
table.
that
That sounds like
scenario?
some old shit.
Did I miss the team meeting?
You've missed
Well, no, that
every.
sounds like Randy's old round tables.
Can Dan just speak without everyone interrupting him?
I'm trying to get his information.
Yeah,
Well,
just be
the
clear, Dan.
problem
Who's in the we
the
you're
problem
talking
is-
about? Because you say we like I'm in that we.
Jeremy, don't puss out. Why don't you describe it to her instead of pussing out?
Describe what? I only heard you say we and then some stupid shit after, so I don't want to be a part of that we.
Okay, so you're closed to actually even what I'm talking about. Recognize that, and you could shut the fuck up.
I'm not close to what you're talking about.
Okay.
I heard
So
you say
what's
we
happened?
and then
What happened last week with Flat Earth and Jeremy? Why don't you surmise it? Because it was big on Tuesday, it was big on Wednesday, it was big on Friday. So why don't you talk about those events and where it's changed or where it hasn't? Let's talk about something real, Jeremy.
you can talk about it. Just when you're saying we, like I don't. You said we like all flat Earth was the we or something. I don't know. Just be clear of what you're
Well,
talking
what's
about. Please.
left of
Be
Flat
specific.
Earth named it they named it a round table. What's left of Flat Earth pooled together and showed their face and their colors and their side and took their sides.
I wasn't there.
Mhm.
Was Geo there?
You
Esky,
guys,
were you there?
Discord, you don't realize there's a real world. Come
You
on.
said what's left of flat Earth. Everyone gathered up and showed
You
their
guys are
faces
now
and
you're going
did
to
stuff.
pretend you're a flat earther. You guys fight me all tooth and nail
I am a flat
every
earther,
day
yeah.
saying you're not a flat
Okay.
earther. Now
Okay,
suddenly
I
you're
have
a flat
never told
earther.
you I'm not a flat earther, Dan.
Well, your buddy Geo does every day.
That's
He was
fine.
not a flat earther, hon.
Okay.
That's fine. I
Is
am.
this a flat Earth server? Are we here because we
No.
talk flat Earth?
No, listen, sweetheart, this is not a flat earth server. This is Earth Awakenings. It is for all things that are about the earth to awaken you to the truth.
Okay. And is it
As
the
it-
remnant? Is it the remnants of the old flat Earth server?
Specifically, no, but there's a lot of
the
it,
group
yeah.
and the group of flat earthers that we
Yes.
have always been? Yes.
No, Dan. The group of flat earthers that are left on Discord, and there was a lot of people there. This is Discord. This is not flat earth. This is
Okay,
Discord flat earth.
So the reality
Mhm.
is that the banning, the blocking, and the shunning has been a big part of the original 24/7 Discord, and a big part of David Weiss's rule is banned for life. Banned for life. This is not healthy. And there's a lot of healthy flat earthers that have been gone and disappearing for a long, long time. It's been a
Yeah,
distress.
Dan. People from the tour are not here anymore because of Discord, right? Discord's from everything else. They learned along the way that online world is this. It's not just here, sweetheart. It is online world. I've even been part of the other communities, and the same shit is no different. This is just
Let me ask,
reality of the world we're in.
But
Let me
you
ask Dan a
guys aren't even
question.
talking about what's going on.
That's it.
Before we start arguing, Dan, can you give us a rundown what happened? I'm interested in this roundtable. What did you get out of it?
Okay, yeah, I'd love to. So there's behind the scenes, there has been some people upset, as we all know, since TFE, but it came to a bit of a head Tuesday because over the weekend, last weekend, Patricia Steer told people she's fucking done sitting there, that she can't sit on Mark Sargent's show with a straight face. And
I know that.
and that came out because Mark refused to read her resignation letter on the air like she asked him to. So Mark's protectiveness and sitting on the defensiveness has been a problem for a long time, but Mark changed to now being accusatory of others. And
wait, hold on. So Patricia is what? Why is she upset? She resigned for what reason? Because of the 24-hour sun?
No, because of Flat Earth's acceptance of anything. For instance, in particular, the most serious issue being David Weiss, his integrity and his app's integrity. And she asked,
I actually think that it was largely. The thing that's funny to me is I know Lisbeth personally, who went to Antarctica, and Patricia quit Flat Earth based on the things that Lisbeth saw with her own eyes, and now Lisbeth has taken her place as Mark Sargent's Vanna White. I think it's really amazing.
It's
okay,
really
let's let Dan continue though.
Yeah, because the past thing, remember, she's left before for these because the community was so weak, and Karen B did a really good job of patching that up. When Karen, who openly called us retards, quit the conference and quit Mark's show with no explanation, Patricia tried to fill back in and patch that back in. She tried to make some changes to Mark's show to make it more interesting again. It had become unwatchable, and she cared a great deal. But the community, which I need to discuss at this point, before TFE, Jaron was already presented with all these goofballs with all these ideas. And this has been the biggest problem, is there was no answer we had. There was no collective answer Flat Earth had. So when they started just saying anything, Jaron knew he was done before he got there because we had nothing. And he knew that before he got there, and he selected Alan to take over in Globebusters before he left because he knew what was going on with the community, regardless of the results of what happened. And God, did he try and get out of going? I'm not going to go. It's scary. Okay, take a friend. Oh, I'm not going to go because you're going to video us. Okay, we won't video you. We still have legal precedents. They even tried. Jaron even told me, I'm going to nail him in Puerto Arenas. Like they tried everything to get out of it. And then what happened finally is that group of people finally took a flat earther by their hand and pointed up at the sky and said, what do you say now? And yeah, granted, if he had a lawyer and if he was smart, he would have just said interesting and walked away. And he would have brought the word interesting back and owned it. But instead, he had no help and no filter. He just looked up and said, I'm sorry, I didn't think this existed. And now
so
everyone
Darren,
everyone turned on him.
But you consider these people are as like the heads of Flat Earth?
They emerged, showed their face Friday. So yeah, you should watch it. They showed their face, they showed their colors, and they sounded just like Earth Awakenings, to tell you the truth. Could be this, could be that. We don't know. God isn't going to tell us anyway. It was just mush. There wasn't any facts in it. It was all speculation. And that's what it's been reduced to because it's Flat Earth has become faith-based. No one cares about science or proof. No one. Maybe you do, Montreal. Excuse me. You're one of the.
No. I hear that. You got it off your chest, right? Don't say.
All right. So this was Monday. So Tuesday.
No, hold on. Before you go, because we said some things of other people, right? That are not here. Let me ask you, what is your take on the? I don't think I've ever heard you speak about it. What is your take about the whole TFE thing?
Well, my it goes back further, and I can show you documents of me being banned for life and pushed out of this we thing a long time ago. I've been pushed out of Flat Earth I'll show you June of 2019, where I'm asking Mark, why are you throwing me under the bus? What the fuck? Why don't you tell anyone the truth? And I can bring that up right now. Right. So,
but that's not what I asked you.
I've been thrown out of the little group a long time ago and I started Flat Earth Anonymous in the middle of 2021 because I realized how much we were being hurt by Flat Earth, even though we were participating in it.
You know that.
Say it again.
You know that I probably know if you've talked to a certain specific person more than a lot of people know about what you're talking about. Okay. And there really ain't nothing we could do about it. On a deeper scale, ain't much.
I don't know. That was pretty cryptic. So anyway, on Tuesday,
well, hold on, bro. You didn't answer my question. Now, if you don't want to, it's fine.
Okay,
But I mean, you just browse.
I'm good friends with Trouble About. I have been for 8 years, and she told me a lot about the Southern Star Trails. And it didn't take much to look at the northern view, the AE, and realize it excluded the south. So unfortunately, my dear friend Chris Pontius animated the sun and moon into the AE, making it into a model. And he's heartfelt sad that he's helped participate in making that look like a working model, because it never could by design. The sun only covered the north in that image. Extending the sun to the south was a fallacy done by, I believe, Eric Dubé. And the idea of the ice wall, which was created by the northern projection, doesn't exist. There's an ice shelf of 300 miles, but there is no ice wall. The oceans aren't contained. We've done nothing to prove it. And the race from France, the race from France around Antarctica and back, flat earthers ignored.
Wait, is it my French accent or something, or was I not
speaking
clear
Canadian?
enough?
Stop speaking Canadian.
Because I'm
Someone's asking
Canadian,
a
right?
fucking
I
question.
knew it.
I missed the joke. What are you're saying? I'm not explaining something?
Yeah, you're not
Ask him
answering
again.
my direct question.
Ask him again for the third time. Maybe he'll get it this time.
Okay, check it out, Dan. I want your opinion, your thoughts on the TFE, not somebody else's, not what you did in 2018 or what Jaron said. Your opinion, if you want to give it.
It proved that the continent, forget the sun, it proved the continent existed and that there is no ice wall holding in the oceans.
Okay,
now, before that, I was real sure anyway. Because when I looked up ice shelf or ice wall, I only found 300 miles of such. And when I looked up Captain Cook's journey, there was no 3-year, 55,000 mile journey. It's just Dubé said that. It isn't true. So the things that we were brought up to think were accurate based on navigation and mileage and things we were told in history weren't ever true. I knew that when I looked it up, when I did my own research, right? The race around Antarctica existed. The Southern Star Trails existed.
Preach.
What?
Okay, good. So you knew beforehand due to the ice wall and that. Okay, that's good.
So, but what I've known for a long time is flat earthers became full of shit. And so what happened is on Mark's side, there's typically a middle for years, omitting stuff. And now with the biblical prophecies, we're stretching truths on the other side. And the gap has just got too big. We're blown apart now between the omittal and the imagination. There's nothing left to join us in between. Sorry,
Well, that's what he's asking. Where do you lie?
Well, I'm a flat earther, right or wrong, and I'm not going to go away from the words. I fought really hard to be that, and I think it's fun. I've always enjoyed.
What do you mean, right or wrong? What does that even mean?
Right well, I can't.
You mean even if you found out
let's
you
say
were
I'm
wrong?
a Jew. Okay, let's say I told you I was a Jew. Right or wrong, I'm a Jew. I can't just go, oh, I'm not a Jew. I was born that. And I was born to be a flat earther. It fit me very well. And there's no reason for me to change. I could still go do Flat Earth Hollywood and do Are You Smarter Than a Flat Earther as a game, watch people get triggered, and nothing changes for me. I haven't had to change. Like, I still have done observations and experiments that still hold true, that we can still talk about. Nothing changes.
Would
For
you bite
me,
that off chemo? If you got that from chemo, are you smarter than a flat earther?
I don't know. All I know is like what I can still do, what I have done, and what I work with, not what I believe. This isn't about belief. And they've made Flat Earth now into a thing about faith. And to me, it was about proof. So it's a collision I don't see getting fixed. And unfortunately, if I switch to faith, I'm going to find that the fucking Christians don't get along. And there isn't even one way to go there. So it's a dead end. Flat Earth doesn't have any purpose. It's sad, and I'm saddened by it a great deal. And I wish that we used Flat Earth Anonymous to discuss it openly so we can find out what's wrong with religions and how people get into a pocket or a bubble and then dismiss anything else like we did with the South. We dismissed the South. Otherwise, we'd have sorted this out a long time ago.
Here you go with we. I didn't dismiss it. A
I have
lot
a
of people
question.
here didn't dismiss it, so I don't know
I
what.
didn't dismiss it either. Yeah, what's with the we shit, Dan?
Okay,
SC's
so
got a
you're
problem with
all
saying we
gonna
now, so do I.
pretend that you knew, but you never mentioned it. Go for it. Go for
No,
it.
hold on. Let me
Go
speak for
for it.
myself. I said, hold on, bro. I said from the beginning, I fully expected. You can bring the tapes back and listen, right? I fully expected a 24-hour sun, and I specifically said, just like we have in the north. So Dan, I don't know, bro.
Was that after we all knew that Jaron and Witsit were had tickets to a plane going there, or before?
Let's
Yes.
stop with the ad homs,
When
bro.
you all got backed into a corner. Matthew, my hero. Matthew Learns is here. Talk about
Oh, and
Matthew.
by the way, Dan, by the way, I always used to make fun of the pizza dish ice wall, and I used to ask people, can you tell me what ice does in water? For years, I've been saying that. Ice floats, right? Therefore, there can be no ice wall. Been saying that for years, Dan. So I don't know where you've been at, bro, but you got to chill with that, putting
Wait, are you
everybody
saying
in one basket.
there's no ice on the continent built up? Is that what you're saying?
No,
That
I
it's all
said
floating?
pizza.
It's all
Listen
floating
to what I.
because the floating stuff melts every summer and then refreezes. So I don't know what you're saying, and I don't know what you're predicting. All I know is that there's no us, like Jeremy says. So I don't know how you all sit here and pretend you're not us, but okay.
No,
I've
we
been watching
voted
it
on it.
for 7 years here or 5 years here, and I've known you all for that long to be us. It is
I could
us, and we suck.
I could
Okay, I
agree
don't
with
want to do
Dan.
this, but you're gonna force me, Dan. You're gonna force me. For as
N-
long as I've known you, you've been coming in here crying like a little girl how you're
Telling
not
the truth
accepted,
that you
how you're
guys
not
don't listen
accepted
to.
in the big boys club.
Telling the
So
truth
don't
that
come
you
here and
don't listen
whine
to.
and tell us what is, bro. Okay, please.
You don't care about the
Nobody
truth.
nobody in the server has been supporting any other flat Earth model at all. I've been sharing it. No one's been interested. So I don't. Only one that may have heard it out is probably Osco and a
Because I
couple
can't
others.
I
So
can't sell shirts.
in,
I can't
in
sell
no
merchandise. That's why.
server have I had success in sharing alternate flat Earth models that is not based around an ice wall at the edges. So I'm with Dan here.
Shout out to Osco, who's been reluctantly trying to sort through all of this for almost a year now, talking to everyone about it. He didn't want to be this or that. And it's been very obvious to him that the flat earth argument doesn't have a ton of strength. Now you got to admit that what strength we have is outnumbered by their proofs and their stuff. So if
Not
you're
even
going to be
close. Not even close, bro. You can't use
What
one
proofs?
law of
Who's
physics to
theirs? Who's
demonstrate
theirs? What?
anything.
Let's hear it, Dan. Who are you talking about? What proofs and who's theirs? Their proof, their stuff. Who?
let's just say satellite technology.
No, that helps us with stationary Earth, bro. You see, you've been behind a little bit. Maybe you should catch up.
Well, I'm not behind. You don't know me well enough to say that. So
No, most definitely, very
you're in pretend land,
specifically.
dude. You're in pretend
No,
land.
a GPS needs to reference a stationary lab frame on the Earth, which means that it's not moving. So that
Okay,
means
so
the
they're
Earth
not
isn't
there.
moving.
They don't exist, right? That's your story?
Sorry, what was that?
They're not there. They don't exist. That's your story?
He didn't say
they're
that at
there
all,
and they
man.
exist
He
and
said
they
they're
actually
referencing an
use.
ECF coordinate system. Did you
There
even
you
listen
go.
to what he said?
No, he's too busy eating.
I am eating.
So you didn't listen to what he said at all?
No, because I think you remember when I brought an early satellite technician on here. You do remember that, right?
The guy that just made up the celestial satellite and came up with the idea for the observation was a guy that worked on satellites for like his whole life. He's like 60 some years old and he became a flat earther after he came up with an observation idea for the celestial theodolite. And he like has clearances to where like he can't even talk about a bunch of the stuff that he worked on with satellites under penalty of death.
No, who is that guy?
Dr. Mike Heffron hangs out and he actually did a presentation in here recently at the celestial theodolite.
What's wrong with the celestial theodolite? What about that
Nothing.
makes flat Earth?
You have to get into the details of it. I can't explain it in a shorthand thing.
Can you explain it in a longhand thing? It's called links and stuff.
He looked up at the star that was above a mountain that should have been in a different place due to refraction and the drop of Earth, and it wasn't.
Maybe he's right. Does that shorten this up? Can we move on if I say maybe he's right? Because I'm a flat earther. You got to
Well, the
remember
original subject, the point of contention, was about GPS and satellites and referencing the lab frame. So satellites are actually approved for a stationary Earth when you get into the details of it. It's like one of those arguments we've corrected in the past few years where we're like, oh,
how do
science supports us again.
How do satellites move over the surface of a flat Earth?
That's a good question. We're not exactly sure. We could invoke something like quantum locking, where it's quantum locked up there somewhere somehow, especially because of the temperatures involved.
That's good tech. Somewhere, somehow. Good
He
job.
said we're
It's a
not
lot
sure,
better
but somebody's
explanation
sure
than
because
flying
somebody
through
put them there.
space. There's something up there giving us information. Might be a balloon, but
Yeah, but you said nobody. You said you're not sure how it works, but somebody is because we designed that. Human beings designed GPS, so somebody knows how it works, right?
I guess obviously somebody knows how it works. But I mean, they could be balloons too. You don't know that.
Yeah, so
we
now
could
you're
ask
in
people who
could be
did it.
land. Now you're off in could be land, and we can just stop now because I was telling a story about what is, and you're telling stories about what could be. So what happened
what
last
is
week?
the lab
What
frame?
happened last week is Flat Earth showed its colors as being openly full of shit, and then attacking the messenger known as Jaren, just like you guys want to do with me. Like Montreal said, every time I come in here, I bring some bullshit. That bullshit is called the truth.
No,
Yes.
let me tell you what I said specifically, because you were putting us down here. And I said, I don't want to say this, but you forced me.
Wait, us?
And we can
I
play
say
the tape. Hold on.
You're allowed to
Hold
say
on.
us, but I can't. It's bullshit.
He didn't mention
Hold on,
anyone
bro.
specifically, though. He just said we.
No, he
Every
said. He said.
I get interrupted in a fucking silly little joke Jeremy plays.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, it ain't a joke,
You did
bro.
say
You're
you
using.
you did,
Hold on, man. It's not a joke, dude. You're using the word "we" and throwing me in that "we" like that shit's not a joke, dude.
Yeah, and I'll stand by what I said because you insulted us, and I kind of took a jab at you, and it's true. You can play the tapes back. I said every time you come here, you whine and bitch like a little girl how you weren't accepted either on this place or that place, or they did you wrong. You do that every time, Dan.
Because they're fucking liars. Hello? Hello.
There's more.
They're
Who
protecting
cares?
themselves. They're protecting
What a crybaby.
themselves.
Quit crying,
They're
guys.
Calm down.
not a
Calm
crybaby,
down.
a real fucking person. Let's talk about Rodrigo Ferrari Nunez. There's someone else whose life they just fucking ruined by pretending he was a bad guy. You want to know why? Because he wanted to do real flat Earth, and they fucking shit canned him and made him into a fucking empty nothing, right? Because you guys are going, who's Rodrigo? Who's Rodrigo? Right? Right? But you guys don't understand the people that are
Who
gone.
cares?
You understand why they're gone. You understand how they're pushed away. Have you guys ever heard Weiss say the words banned for life? Have you ever
These guys
remembered?
don't look. These guys don't look
Karen
like
B,
Weiss, though. That's the
you
thing.
remember Karen B
Why don't you
running
take
this
a deep
service?
breath, Dan, and calm
Remember
down?
Karen B running this service? Everyone gets blocked. Everyone gets blocked.
Yeah, just exposing the whole. All right, take 5.
Yeah, I'm trying to find this Dr. Mike guy, Dr. Mike Efron. You said, if you got a link to him or anything?
Hon, you're talking about some older people, Doc. Right? I
No,
understand.
yeah, I got you, homie. Just
yeah, so
you want a video? You want the PDF?
Efren did a YouTube, and I put a thing together about what he did, and an analysis of the data. I'll put a link to it in the chat.
Yeah, standing by.
In short, you can use stellarium and the time to know what elevation angle a star will have from your observer location based on the time and your location using stellarium. It'll tell you where that star is going to be. That gives globe results, but he found that in his particular case that he was the correct distance from Pike's Peak, that if he told stellarium that he was on the top of Pike's Peak and assumed a flat Earth, that it would give the angle he expected on a flat Earth. Unfortunately, he tried that same trick. Oh, and he has to turn off refraction to make it work also. He tried the same trick on Blodgett Peak, which is closer and lower, and it didn't work, but he had to adjust the time in stellarium by about 33 or 34 seconds to make it work on that other one. So it's another.
You are working on more data points for that, by the way, just to get more, you know.
Oh, you are?
I plan on doing it when I get a chance.
Cool.
So, Dan, would it be fair to say that you moved over to the ball?
No, it's fair to say that you're putting words in my mouth and that you're stupid to do so. Matter of fact, I got a great presentation on Gap data. As a matter of fact, I got great presentations on space. I have great problems with the ISS, much to discuss. But you want to pretend that you have an enemy in me. Go for it, dude. It ain't going to serve you.
Question, dude.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You wanted me to go with your narrative. You want everyone to be a baller if they don't agree with you. And that's fucked up. That's what's happened here. Calling Jaron names.
I don't know. You got issues, bro.
Okay. Did Jaron and Austin go there?
Yes.
Yes, they did, Dan. They went.
Do they publicly and privately share the same opinions?
No, they don't.
No.
As far as I know, no different.
No, one is telling the truth.
Yelling.
One is telling the truth to you, and the other is just going to pretend it's God's work. And he doesn't understand it. He's going to play with Shane now, and he's going to try and look at Joe Hanvey. Joe Hanvey said at the round table that you guys didn't watch, do not follow me. My shit doesn't work. That's what Hanvey said. He said, I'm getting closer with the superfluid. He goes, but whatever you do, don't look for me for answers.
Is that the guy with the model?
Yes.
You know what I did when I first saw that? I started laughing, Dan. I started laughing when I saw it.
Well, you should laugh at the way flat earthers tried to grapple onto it, is what you should laugh at. Because the flat earthers were desperate.
And I have.
Flat earthers have become desperate liars, and that's fucked up.
So you're putting everybody, this is why people get mad at you. You just did it again. Flat earthers do this and flat. That's why Jeremy tells you why with the we, and you got to quit doing that, bro. I had to learn that the hard way because I was
really
religion. Yes.
You guys should make up your mind then. Make up your mind.
Well, but what are people's obsession with wanting to lump everyone together?
Well, that's why I said it's exciting Friday to see who did show their face in unity. See, that's what I'm trying to say.
In unity for what?
Monday, you idiot.
Damage control.
Damage control for what?
For what you guys haven't been watching, which you haven't let me
there
finish.
You go again. You guys.
Fuck off. You still don't. You're
just
uninformed.
lumping.
You're fucking uninformed. You fucking
don't
know
me.
what I'm talking about. You fucking really? Why don't you tell where I left off? Because I was in the middle of Tuesday. We haven't spoken about Wednesday or Friday or the roundtable. Why don't you tell the story?
He thinks
why don't you read off of your phone? Why don't you read off of your phone what Patricia has to say? Because I can read
so here's the thing.
I can read it to you what she actually
if
says.
you just stop, I'll tell you. So listen.
So
I don't typically behave.
Okay, Dan,
like
let him say his thing, and then you'll continue from Tuesday. Let's keep it civil.
Yeah, listen. See, I don't generally talk about people like women do. Okay, I'm not a gossiper. That's all you're doing. You're just sitting here talking about people. That's really boring. And then you're just lumping everyone
Listen,
together and
listen,
saying, you guys, you guys, you guys.
I'm reading. I'm
No,
ready to read and share with you real communication. Not talking about someone else. Talking with
You are.
someone
You
else.
just said
No,
Patricia
I'm
Steer.
talking with Patricia Steer.
Okay, can
Not
you guys not
about.
argue this
Well,
way?
it's
Can we
not
get on to
talking
the
about
point,
the
honey,
whole
so Dan can
influence of
explain?
people. Like, you know,
You
you're
don't
Dan?
give
saying
a
like
fuck.
David
You're all
Wise,
going to
David
interrupt me.
Wise,
You're not going
Jerrism.
to listen to what she has to say. You're not, because you don't care.
All right, let's tone it down a level so we don't get time.
I mean,
Oh,
it's
Dan is
I'm trying to tell you.
Okay,
I
okay,
spoke
this isn't going nowhere.
to a
Can
fucking
I don't know
person.
if SC or someone wants to take over. I'm not trying to
Okay,
take
all
over.
right. I'm gonna have to mod here, guys. I'm gonna have to mod. Okay, everybody quiet, and let's let Dan take it from Tuesday.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, Mark refused to read what Patricia had said because Patricia is willing to discuss the issues at hand, and Mark is not. And of course, Dave's app is in question, and Mark wouldn't question it whatsoever. And it's one of the reasons that she just had come to the last straw there. Unfortunately, Mark changed from being innocent Mark and omitting stuff to accusatory Mark and started to accuse her, Robbie, and Jaron of traitorous acts, when in fact these people, I believe, were telling the truth. By Wednesday, Jaron went on the air and did a rebuttal showing how ridiculous Mark has suddenly become and how ridiculous Flat Earth has come, making him into a villain. By Friday, they circled the wagons and decided to do damage control together, something they never do, ever. And Weiss called everyone and said, we got to go show our face. We got to show our face. We got to show our strength here. And they didn't have any. And it was very embarrassing and very deflating. And you could watch it. They called, they even like they said things like, Jaron succumbed to peer pressure, forgetting that they were his peers. It's so weird. It's like, succumb to peer pressure. You're his peers. So them attacking him put him on a defensive, and he looks like a pussy. Not see hearsay. You're very awful for trying to make me seem feminine for telling the truth, because that is a tactic, and it's fairly disgusting. If I tell the truth and I'm upset about it, or God forbid I have an emotion, it doesn't diminish my penis in any way. So I have a penis too. I want you to know that. And you can't make me into a woman because you disagree with me or the truth. It won't
So, I mean, that kind of
womanize.
depends on
It
how
won't
big that
womanize.
thing is, though.
It won't womanize me. And womanizing me, diminishing me to that of a woman, isn't going to go well for the women in this room.
Dave.
I want you to know that. And you can't make me into a woman because you disagree with me or the truth. It won't
So, I mean, that kind of
womanize.
depends on
It
how
won't
big that
womanize.
thing is, though.
It won't womanize me. And womanizing me, diminishing me to that of a woman, isn't going to go well. And he looks like a pussy. Not see hearsay. You're very awful for trying to make me seem feminine for telling the truth, because that is a tactic, and it's fairly disgusting. If I tell the truth and I'm upset about it, or God forbid I have an emotion, it doesn't diminish my penis in any way. So I have a penis too. I want you to know that. And if I tell the truth and I'm upset about it, or God forbid I have an emotion, it doesn't diminish my penis in any way. So I have a penis too. I want you to know that. If I tell the truth and I'm upset about it, or God forbid I have an emotion, it doesn't diminish my penis in any way. So I have a penis too. I want you to know that. If I tell the truth and I'm upset about it, or God forbid I have an emotion, it doesn't diminish my penis in any way. So I have a penis too. I want you to know that. And you can't make me into a woman because you disagree with me or the truth. It won't
So, I mean, that kind
womanize.
of depends on
It
how
won't
big that
womanize.
thing is, though.
It won't womanize me. And womanizing me, diminishing me to that of a woman, isn't going to go well for the women in this room.
Days of our
Is
lives.
Is it?
Jeremy's getting offended already.
Let's stick to the topic at hand. Is the
What?
final experiment real or not? Because some people think it's
Absolutely. You
God,
guys,
I just
only a
think it's a big y'all.
conspirator. Only a conspirator would think it wasn't real. It was too well documented.
I don't know why we're going to go full circle at concave right now after we just did this. Please don't do that, concave. We're trying to fix this a little bit, right?
Don't tell us what to do, please. Thank you.
By Friday,
Yeah, concave, please don't come in and mod. Like, let the mods do that. Thanks, bro. We
By
appreciate
Friday,
it.
I begged Gio
I'm
to
not
share the
telling someone else
roundtable
needs
with
the
you
mod.
guys. By Friday, I begged Gio to share the roundtable with you guys, knowing, Montreal, that me talking about it doesn't go over very well. And that it really, if this group cared to have, a good conversation, they'd be watching these things and we would have opinions collectively and there would be a we, because we would do that kind of stuff here instead of just wild speculation or calling people women.
Well, Dan, well, I know you've been told this, right? Like, oh, why don't you make your own YouTube channel, make your own shit? But like you're saying, are these people selective, or in a way, like you said, a round table, right? Are they really selective of becoming this kind of influence, right? Because I know I've been hearing you that you always try to make your own channel and it doesn't grow. Is it because you're shadow banned or you're kind of like a outcast?
Well, yeah, but flat earthers don't care either. They pretend to care. They don't have it together, and they've been taken. The dominant flat earther today is in belief mode, not test and prove mode.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, definitely. And if you
How
watch
much
the
do
round
you?
table, you'd
Ain't
have a
us though.
well, it's either watch here, the round table, or anywhere else, and you'll hear the religios talk about the book.
All right, Dan the Waterman, are you a flat earther?
Absolutely. Who's this?
Dan the Waterman, are
Who is
you
it?
a flat earther?
Rob,
It's
it's
Rob.
Rob.
I
Level
answered you,
2.
so you're clearly brain dead. Yes, I am. Who's this? Rob?
Rob on
Hi,
the
Rob.
level 2.
Why would you think
I'm just,
I
you don't
wasn't?
sound,
Why would you think I'm not? Because everyone
because
here has known
Jimmy,
me as a
let me answer you.
serious
Let
flat
me
earther
answer you.
for a long
Let me
time.
answer you. Never mind.
It's
Nice
the
try, though.
it's the aggressive slander towards flat Earth, or like grouping in everybody that's not you. I think that's what the energy he's picking up off of.
Yeah,
Well,
let me
I
ask
don't
you,
know.
Dan, what would be the proper answer for a flat earther? What would be the proper behavior, according to you?
well, is it still a truth movement or is this a Christian movement?
You're asking me a question again.
Well, I thought I joined people in a truth movement that turned out to not exist now.
So did
What would
everybody?
be the proper take of you? What would be
Well,
the
they've been
proper?
peeling off since 2019 when Mark left the conference and Robbie stopped doing conferences. It's only been patched together by Karen B.
The proper take is what Gio's doing.
Wrong.
Looking into other options while still affirming to what he understands best, holding things into consideration, not being hasted to jump to a fucking conclusion, and he's figuring it out.
I tried to ask, please share the round table so there would be some consensus here. I guess no one's watched it yet. I did ask him to invite
No
me if it
one,
was
but no one
no one.
cares about the days of our lives of flat Earth.
Okay, because you're a piece of
People
shit,
here
though.
want
Because
evidence.
you're a piece
People
of
want
shit.
evidence.
Whoa, what are you doing, Dan?
Hey,
Well,
Dan.
Easy,
clearly,
man. Hey,
clearly,
I was
somebody who
mid-sentence,
says I
man.
don't
Dan.
care.
Dan,
The guy
you
says
can't
he
Let
just
me
doesn't
call
care.
people names. You can't
Okay,
just
the
call
let me
guy
people
just
says
names.
finish
he
my
doesn't
sentence.
care. Get rid of
You're
him.
going to get
Get rid of
muted and
him.
timed out.
Get rid
Yeah,
of
and if
him.
If you
Earth
The man
continue to
religion
says he
does
talk
doesn't
over
real
care.
me,
The
you're
agenda.
going
man
to get muted and
says
timed out.
the
Do you
man
hear
says
me?
he doesn't care.
Can you hear me, Dan?
Can someone mod,
Yes,
Can you
please?
hear me, Dan?
yes. When a
Can you
man
hear me,
comes on,
Dan?
yes, I hear
Can you
you
hear me?
again. I keep saying that.
Guys. Okay. Just to let everybody know, you can't incessantly talk over people, and you certainly can't call people names. It's not going to fly. It's not a productive conversation. I just got in here. Don't know what the conversation was about. Let's go ahead and move
Well, I wasn't
Thank you.
going to take up much time. I've been listening for the last hour. Not once have I heard a single piece of evidence brought up for flat Earth. I've heard you won't believe Patricia said this, and then Mark said that, and then Jeranism said this. And that's Days of Our Lives. Go watch a soapy if you want to be involved in who said what and who triggered what and what. If you want to actually look at the evidence as to how most people discover flat Earth or become true flat earthers, is evidence based. And I think SE was trying to get you to the point to talk about that singular observation, which everyone's misappropriating the word experiment towards, the one down in Antarctica. It simply was an observation which provides a couple of question marks. So what I was simply stating is no one cares about then she said this and then he said that and then I won't believe what he said after that. Like that's not flat earth. And if that's your game, enjoy, buddy. But
So
it's
Solar,
probably
just
why your
curious.
channel doesn't grow.
That's a lot different than coming on like you did saying you didn't care. Because if you did talk to me, you'd find that I've done observations that are very good flat earth evidence. And I could talk about that over and over, and I would love to.
Can you
As a
be
matter of
specific?
fact, the news
Be
was
specific.
the news for me was that by being in Jaron's
No,
VIP
you said
show, I was
experiment. I
able to
said be
share these
specific.
things. I am sorry, you're saying something because what you said is because you don't know me.
Can you be specific? Can you just for once
You could ask anyone
say the
here.
experiment
Yes,
and then describe
specifically.
the experiment?
Yes, specifically, it'll take too long to describe to you in the over 35 observations we've made that are clearly documented, clearly on my channel, and clearly known by everyone but you.
Do you
Why don't
understand
you
what
just
the
give
word
him one, Dan,
specific
instead of
means?
just saying that?
Yeah.
Why don't you just give him one?
Instead of 35, pick one. Like the word specific implies is singular. Be specific. Give me one, and then we can talk about it.
This isn't the time or place, and I'm not ducking you. Just Montreal, will you tell him, please? And pick one yourself, please, and explain to him who I am, please, instead of being a whole room full of pussies. Just shut this guy up, like I first said.
Hey, Dan, like I said before, you can't just call people names. You certainly can't call the whole entire room names.
Then man
no
up.
offense, no offense, bud, but you're trying to say, tell everybody who I am. Like, if you got such great experiments, you've been in this so long, and everybody should know who you are, just link them to your stuff. You've had plenty of time to do that. If you've got something specific you want to provide to them, then provide them the link. Nobody cares about the words. Seriously.
It's a weird perpetuation of this like authority that they're trying to establish in this community that started with this whole TFE thing. And then this energy within the community from these guys that claim they're some elite at this weird round table, this like egotistical jerk off session. It's now the message is if you use the same inquisition that got you here as a flat earther, then you're fucking stupid. If you don't just
What is
trust
the
the
round
narrative
table?
from these guys from out, now you're just all fucking dumb. And it's really weird to see how this turn of heel came about just so rapidly from a lot of people.
What is this round table? Has somebody tried to establish themselves as like leaders or something?
No, I think they are, and I think that was also kind of the whole point of the TFE, right? Because that was like the initial push for it was they brought it to the community and was like, well, who do you guys want to go? Who do you guys think is the top flatter? And it's like they were trying to make us establish some hierarchy. It was really
What is the
weird.
round table? Who's in it? Who's established it? What is it? I'm unfamiliar.
That's a good question, dude. It sounds like some Disney cartoon. I don't know. Some
It's
egotistical
basically
motherfuckers.
just all the YouTube FE creators, Dave Weiss, Witsit, Zen Garcia. It's not a thing that they created. It's just a YouTube stream they had a couple days ago.
Oh, okay.
So basically everybody under suspicion of being a Fed.
Well, if you look at the essence of the word round table, it's meant to make everyone as equal. It's not like a rectangular table where someone's sitting at the head and everybody else is sitting along the side. So the whole concept of a round table is we're all equals at this table. So there shouldn't be this idea of hierarchy. And just because four guys decided to get around a table and talk about something doesn't make them the leaders or the authority on certain things. I don't think we should even be triggered by the concept that they're trying to assert dominance. When it comes to people who've done experiments, I agree. Jeranism went to do the force the line or the laser experiment, and then they've gone to Antarctica. So in terms of detailed, well, not really experiments, but observations, he's two up on most people because most people have not even documented and published one experiment. So I would say yes, he's someone that should be interesting to listen to. But the moment he went behind his paywall on his channel, I stopped watching Jeranism. So I haven't actually seen any of his latest stuff and therefore wouldn't consider him an authority on the topic because pretty much everyone else who still has a louder voice is on the free to consume content versus guys who are now on the paid content
There's no
platforms.
paywall. You can watch Jaren. The YouTubes are public. I watch them. I'm not a member.
Free, Dan.
On YouTube?
No, Rockfin. You do Rockfin.
Absolutely free.
Rockfin.
There's no paywall.
Yeah, either way, I mean, I don't mind
correct.
people getting together and having a conversation, especially people that have platforms, right? Like that's not necessarily a bad thing. So I can agree with that. So,
No, he's kind of like talking about like the how much influence it does have because of course we don't consider like David Wise as a talking head and all these Eric Dubay, but they do gain some massive influence on people of thinking because of course some people don't even do the experiment; they just wait for the next YouTube that does the experiment. They don't even do it themselves because that's how much influence these people do have. Which, of course, I'm not considering them as, oh, these are my talking heads, but a lot of people do. Well, I don't know. Are there fake numbers that the views they get, the money they get? I don't know.
Who do you suspect they're influencing? The people that they reach. Is that what you mean? The people that
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
it's to establish if you were to ask a conspiracy theorist, right, which is what we should all be in this room, it's to establish a sense of trust. It's all it is. And then this whole TFE thing is the dividing nail to drive down into it. And then the experiment is watching what happens. It's a social experiment.
Yeah, but all these guys said was the same thing that everyone in here says. Like TFE doesn't matter, and Jaren and the people who left are shills or stupid. Like it's just the same thing. It's not like it was some like super interesting point that these guys had.
I don't think Jaren is a shill, personally. I don't think he's too bright, but I was saying that before the TFE, based on this conversation we had on the racetrack. But I don't think he's a shill. I actually believe that he believes that the Earth is a globe now. So what? It's just one dude. Good on him. I wish him well. Big deal.
I think it's interesting listening to Jaren post TFE because, as you say, see, I wasn't aware of him before about 2 months before TFE. And the first time I saw him, I thought this guy has integrity. He's going to be a wild card down there in Antarctica, and I was right. And the interesting thing about him is he brings a genuine flat earther's perspective to his change. He points out things like his whole idea that you could build an infinite number of flat Home Depots around the world, right? And it wouldn't change the fact that it's a globe. And I think that's a really nice thing because it gets at what I think is the main problem is that flat earthers just can't really wrap their minds around how big the earth is. There's one piece of evidence for flat earth, it looks flat. And a big globe looks flat. And that's really it.
Yeah. No, I mean, true that.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
flat
Home
earthers are
Depot
idiots
thing,
and they're
bro.
stupid. Yeah.
When
That's
I
not
heard
it.
that,
That's not it. It's fucking bullshit. You just come in here
it's big
spitting
time bullshit.
your fucking bullshit every fucking day.
You just can't wrap your head around like how dumb you are. That's all. That's it, Jeremy. You just got to wrap your head around how dumb we all are. We're all idiots. If you just
No, but thinking Home Depots, bro, thinking Home Depots linked together proves a globe. Like think about that, man.
You just
No,
don't
it's
get it
just
though.
the point that
You just
the
don't get it.
globe model, if the globe model is true, it's so big that you could just build Home Depots all the way around it and make all of those flat, and you would never know the difference. That's the only point.
Exactly. Yeah. It's unbelievable. Just to say that out loud, like, I mean,
Well,
wow.
and the other thing, when I was watching him in Antarctica, he was doing a stream, and at one point at midnight, he was looking at the sun. And there's no mistaking that it's the sun when you're there. That's what they all say. You know, you get off the plane and say, "Oh my God, that's obviously the sun," right? You can't mistake it. And he was looking at the sun to the south, right? He knew that he was looking south, out over the edge of the, you know, whatever's out there, at a time when he knew that the sun was directly overhead in Australia. And you could just see his brain melting as he tried to imagine he's looking at the sun to the south. And he knows that at that moment, it's overhead in Australia. And it was like, I think that was kind of the aha moment for him. You guys I should get a link to that because I think it's really spectacular to watch him grapple with it.
Well, listen, you only have, I mean, from the sound of your voice, like, you know, it sounds like you might be eating Jello. You only have a few years left, so you should probably like go have an aha moment of your own. I'd say, you know, we never know like when our time's gonna come, you know.
Good argument, no tanks. Thanks for
Old,
responding with a compelling argument.
old Jello neck.
Jeremy, bro, the community desperately needs a map, man. You got to help the community out. The AE just is not cutting it out anymore.
Yeah, the AAE may not be the case. Who knows? I mean, who knows? The things it would take for me to figure that out would be, you know, millions of dollars, expeditions, corrections to longitude, placement of the suns due to what? I don't know, due to the you know, the scattering of light, et cetera, et cetera. Things I can prove are things more local that are not up in the sky and contain the entire known world.
Yeah, perhaps. Or you could, at the very bare minimum, start off with the known measurements known by humanity at the bare minimum before we get our millions and go on a trek expedition. And we could easily figure out Antarctica is something this big and not this all-encompassing world thing. But this 95%
Yeah,
of the
it
community
could be a
doesn't even want to
continent.
do
Yeah.
that.
I mean, it could be a continent. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's not a continent. Could be a tiny little continent. I don't know.
Well, and to that point, you know, Jaron also another nice thing he does, I think, is he points out, okay, look, you've got a North Pole, you got to have that, right? You have an equator; it's clearly a circle around the North Pole. You got lines of longitude that are straight. You know, when you follow a line of longitude, you don't turn, and you put that all together. There's only one flat Earth map that even makes just those things happen. And that flat Earth map was roundly falsified in Antarctica. So you can talk about, well, now we need to find another map. There is no other map. This is what Jaron points out. I mean, it's
Then
getting
pack up your
smarter
bags, dude.
all the
That's
time,
why
and
I don't
it's
get.
really
Why don't
true.
you pack up your? I've had this like conversation. Pack up your bags. You're old. You're really old, and you love like the
It's a
story
compelling
of what you can
argument,
find in a
and I'm
textbook.
sure a lot of people find
Why
it
don't you just pack up
compelling.
your bags and just go read the books that have been written for hundreds of years? I mean, what are you doing here? Pack it
So
up,
what,
man.
really seriously, what kind of an
Go play some
argument is
crochet
that?
or
I
something.
don't get it.
I'm arguing for you to take advantage of the final, you know, the golden years of your life. Pack it up.
No, I understand that, but I think you think that you're making an argument against what I said. And I just
I
think
hope
that's
I am.
really
Yeah, I'm
interesting that there
compelling your
are
heart
apparently
to
there's a
go
community here
away.
that
Yeah.
finds that kind of an argument compelling. That's really a telling thing.
Yeah, I'm saying everything that you could teach me, I could learn from Google. So like what, you know, pack it up. You know what I mean? Go sit on a beach in Florida. What are you doing?
Wrap it up, B.
I
Hey,
doubt
I have an
that's
actual
serious.
is
response.
it
I
Isn't
think
the
John can
state
teach a lot, but you will never learn.
I have an actual response. So, like, a sky observation. My inclination towards flat Earth doesn't come from my observations of the sky. So, an observation of the sky didn't change my mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, I hear that all the time, right? That's just something that's a very convenient, in fact, a necessary thing for flat earthers to say. But the fact is, and sky observations don't so easily prove a globe. They do, however, prove that the Earth isn't flat. That's what they do.
No, not necessarily, right? So proving the Earth isn't flat would be showing that you have actual drop over distance from like a singular point, right? And has that been proven on a large scale
Well,
on the Earth, laying
yeah,
measure
that
to it?
has with surveying, that certainly has. But I know you don't buy that. For me,
No, we
the
have
best single,
explanations for the surveying and what that
you
actually
have
shows.
rationalizations.
But
Yeah, I
no, we have
know.
explanations. Just because you have
Well, I know. Yeah, okay, call them
rationalizations
what
of
you
the
will.
things in the sky doesn't mean that it's an actual measurement of the ground on below your feet. So do you have actual
Right.
physical measurements of that, or do you just have
Yes.
apparent observations to apparent locations?
Yeah, no, the simplest direct measurement is just the fact that the equator is a circle centered on the North Pole. And the
So
radius of that circle, the radius of that circle is 6,200 miles, something like that. I can't remember what, 6,200, whatever it is. And the circumference of that circle is 4 times that radius, not 2 pi times that radius. It's 4 times that radius. You can't draw a circle with a circumference that's 4 times its radius on a flat
Cool.
surface. That doesn't
Can
work.
you show me? Can you show me where this line has been physically drawn? And then can we actually try to measure
Yeah.
drop over distance on that circle that you say is
No, I wasn't
actually
talking about
positioned on
drop
the ground?
over. I think you misunderstood me. I wasn't talking about drop over
No,
distance. I was
I didn't
just talking about.
misunderstand you. I didn't misunderstand you. You're just not answering my question, and you're just going back to we've drawn imaginary lines on maps through coordinate systems that we base on observations that we have of the sky. Therefore, this somehow proves that the surface is curving when it does not do that at all, especially when people ask for actual measurements of drop over distance. And all that you can say is that, well, we put a coordinate system that's based on our observations of the sky. Therefore, that's some type of measurement, which isn't actually the case. And we understand that
Well,
there are experiments you can do, there are tests that you can do with objects in the sky where you can prove that that isn't the case. And you can use your theodolite, you can use a telescope, and you can prove that. Are you familiar with people going out and observing when stars are occluded by things in the distance and being able to use simple calculations to figure out where that observation is made from based on a flat surface?
Yeah, not only am I familiar with it, I went through all of that data in detail in the document that I already posted in the chat, and in that document, I show that Heffron's own observations agree to within a half of an arc second with the globe prediction for how high that star should be observed from his house, not observed from Pikes Peak. He wants to observe it from Pikes Peak. But when you observe it from Pikes Peak, you're a half a degree around the globe, and therefore the star is a half a degree higher in the sky. So I will repost that thing if you want. I just posted a picture showing a measurement of drop over distance. The famous Canigou picture from Marseille shows the
That's
top
not
of a
drop.
mountain and the
That's
bottom
an
of
observation.
that mountain. Hold on, almost done. The bottom of that mountain is well below the horizon, as you can see by simply doing some simple measurements on that picture, as I did. So I invite you to take a look at that.
So that's an observation. That's not an actual measurement. I'm asking for an actual measurement, a first order measurement, instead of, like I said before, taking observations to apparent locations when we know that light does weird things, especially during the daytime. Light can refract. Light can bend. There's many different things that light can do, especially over longer distances. So when you observe sinking refraction and equate it with the Earth actually physically curving, that's not my fault because you're making an observation, not a measurement of actual drop.
I wanted to squeeze in a quick comment. Earlier, a remark was made by John, and it still seems to be a narrative among a certain group of people. But he says, the same exact thing that NASA told us about the moon landing is this is all just too well documented for you to not believe it. So it doesn't still vibe well with me personally. So they're going to keep trying to just force the narrative and make you just agree to the conversation. It sounds like, even though they didn't go themselves and they've only seen 10% of the total data from the trip. So just odd perspective.
Either way, the observations that were made in Antarctica have nothing. Did they go and measure drop over distance of the physical Earth? Did they measure curvature? Or did they just make observations of lights in the sky?
Yeah, again, you have to find out inside your heart whether or not you believe that they went there, like the moon landing.
Well, I'm not disputing whether or not they did or did not go there.
There you go.
Yeah, no, all they did was make observations of the lights in the sky. They didn't measure anything.
But you don't disagree that they
why is there
saw
a
the
constant
sun out
avoidance?
over the ice wall, right? The sun they saw it circle all the way around their
Napalm,
heads,
he's an
not
old
to the north.
zealot.
Cool.
He's just a zealot.
So you just can't
He
imagine
doesn't
that
even
lights in the sky
know if he
don't have
doesn't
any
know what he's
relevance
spoken to a
to
nurse or what.
yeah, well, some people can't think outside the box, right? Critical thinking is not always, things that people
It's
do. So
always
if
good
I
to
was
keep
going
an
to claim,
open
if I was going to
mind,
make a,
but not
if I was
so
going to make a
open that your
surface claim,
brains fall out.
if I was going to make a surface claim, critical thinking doesn't mean that you're open-minded and your brain's falling out. Critical thinking is actually a methodology. But either way, if I was going to claim the surface is doing X, Y, or Z, I would try to measure the surface. So why do you guys always avoid an actual physical
Don't.
measurement
It's
of what's
physically
below you?
measured. I
Where
posted a
has
picture
that been
doing
done? Point
I
me to somebody
posted
who
a
is
picture, one
actually,
of many physical measurements. If you look at
that's an
the elevation of
observation.
distant
Do you know what a
peaks,
measurement is?
that's a measurement. When you make measurements, you make physical observations. Surveyors make measurements of angles, and those angles translate directly to
Where did you
altitudes
post
when you
this?
know the distance, which is also measured. These are measurements, and they show explicitly that the Earth curves at 8 inches per square mile. That is a
No,
direct measurement.
that's just you measuring with a device that has that built into it, right? Meaning that the
No, it's
further
not
you
built
try to
into
use,
it.
the
It's a
further you
result of
try
a
to use
measurement.
Don't
that,
interrupt, John.
the further you try to use that device, the less accurate it becomes. And it becomes even less accurate due to the fact that the things that you are observing are not in their actual location. They move based on the atmosphere and what you're observing through. So you have
Yeah.
a measurement over long distance, which increases the inaccuracy of the measurement to a apparent location where you're observing something that you can't actually.
So things don't get more inaccurate as they get further away. It's a
No,
direct measurement.
that's just you measuring with a device that has that built into it, right? Meaning that the
No, it's
further
not
you
built
try to
into
use,
it. It's a result of a
to
measurement.
use
Don't interrupt, John.
the further you try to use that device, the less accurate it becomes. And it becomes even less accurate due to the fact that the things that you are observing are not in their actual location. they move based on the atmosphere and what you're observing through. So you have a measurement over long distance, which increases the inaccuracy of the measurement to a apparent location where you're observing something that you can't actually.
So things don't get more inaccurate as they get further away. You measure angles to the same accuracy, whatever it is you're measuring. It is true that the atmosphere changes things. What it does is it makes things appear flatter than they are, but it never makes them appear so flat that it measures flat. It always measures to be something like a radius of about 5,000, 4,600, 4,800. When you measure the radius of the Earth with visual observations, you end up with a radius that's larger by about 10 to 15%. But we know why that is. And even if there weren't any refraction, you'd still end up with a globe Earth that's a little larger than it is. Those are direct physical measurements of curvature. And it's just gravy that it comports the radius you get, comports exactly with the radius you get when you take the circumference of the equator and compare it to its radius.
Say again, Robin, your mic is bad, bro.
My mic is bad? I'm on my phone.
Oh, now you're good. Now you're good.
No, I was just saying, John, just because you say this shit so confidently, as a matter of factly, doesn't actually make it true. Okay, Napalm, don't interrupt me, please. Napalm has asked you a very different question, and you have yet to answer it. Napalm, maybe you need to remind John of your question. If not, I can.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the same question that's been asked for years, right? Like, give an actual measurement of drop over distance where you're actually measuring the physical surface. Nobody wants to do that. They want to pussyfoot around it. And just because you want to talk in an authoritative manner and point to, well, surveyors do this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I had a 4-hour conversation with a surveyor when I was on vacation. And guess what? He said, well, we calculated in the curvature of the Earth. Cool. Easy for me to talk to an actual surveyor, a guy who was doing his job. I was watching him survey and I just struck up conversation with him. Small town guy, nothing to prove, whatever. And I asked him, how would you be able to establish that curvature over distance? Could you go from this one point right here and establish a horizontal? He goes, yeah, we'd establish the horizontal, but then we would calculate in the curvature over distance based on the curvature of the Earth. Okay, so cool. Easy for me to talk to an actual surveyor, a guy who was doing his job. I was watching him survey and I just struck up conversation with him. Small town guy, nothing to prove, whatever. And I asked him, how would you be able to establish that curvature over distance? Could you go from this one point right here and establish a horizontal? He goes, yeah, we'd establish the horizontal, but then we would calculate in the curvature over distance based on the curvature of the Earth. Okay, so you're not actually able to establish drop over distance from a horizontal without making that calculation? Oh, well, I guess you could do that, but we're going to calculate it in anyways, because once you get over a mile, you're going to have to start making that calculation. Okay, so obviously they're taught to make a calculation, not an actual measurement.
So I don't know what you're looking for. I mean, did you want to lay down a straight iron beam 1 mile long, make it tangent to the Earth at one end and see it dangling 8 inches above the Earth at the other end? Is that what you're looking for?
Pretty much.
Sure, that would be
Yuppers.
fantastic.
Yep.
Maybe you could even do one for 6 miles, so you'd even have a bigger gap there, right?
So let me ask
That would
you.
be
I established.
15 miles because that.
So I hear you guys talking all the time about how you've measured the Earth to be flat. Maybe you would explain to me exactly how you've measured it to be flat.
That's what I was going to say. Every time that I set up vertical posts,
reverse
right,
the burden of
and I
proof.
go perpendicular off a post. Every time I go perpendicular off a post to another vertical post that's plumb at another location, the shortest possible distance between those locations is a horizontal straight line distance. If I were to raise one end of my laser
How
and
do
my
you know
measuring
that? How
tape
did you
higher or
determine
lower,
that?
it will be a longer
Wait a
distance.
minute.
I just told you why. I just told you. I just
No.
said it.
You said you
Yeah.
found the shortest distance is a horizontal.
Yeah, because
Explain
if
to
I
me how
raised,
you
and then
did
right when you
that.
cut me off, I said, if you raise the laser or the tape measure device, whatever device you want to use, higher or lower than perpendicular, you get a longer measurement,
Higher.
proving that the shortest distance. Yep. So just imagine a
Okay.
laser beam that you hold.
How far are
Yep. So
these?
just
How far are
imagine a
these
laser.
posts apart?
It doesn't matter, right? That's not what I'm saying right
It
now. So
does
right now, what
matter.
I'm saying is imagine.
Totally
No, it
matters.
doesn't matter. So what I'm saying. No,
It
there he goes.
totally
It's the old guy.
matters.
Dude, stick the porridge spoon in your mouth and chew like the nurse told you, and just listen. All right. So every time you raise the laser, like you can imagine a laser being perpendicular to a vertical post. If you raise it, tilt it up a little bit, it'll register a longer distance. You point it down, it'll be a longer distance. When you hold it horizontally, it'll be the shortest possible distance between two vertical posts, and you can carry those measurements to the next vertical post, and it'll be the shortest distance, shortest distance, shortest distance. Connecting all of these Home Depots does not make a sphere.
So
how
does
far
it
apart? How
comport
far
to what
apart
I'm
are these
Finding
posts?
of
You can do this.
stuff.
As Euclid defines, you can extend parallel lines into infinity. So infinity, I guess, would be the answer in geometric terms.
So how far apart are these
okay?
posts?
Yeah, how far apart are the posts?
Okay, I'll just point out you get the same thing on the globe Earth, and I think
No, you
what we're
won't.
seeing
You won't
here is
get
another
the shortest
symptom.
distance between
What we're seeing here is
two
another symptom of flat earthers not
vertical
understanding that
points
the Earth
being
is
a
big,
horizontal line on like half in
globe.
heaven and half on earth. But two things that are different are not the same. And I don't know like how old you're going to have to be to understand that different things are not the same things. Different words are not the same words. That's how words work. That's how the law of non-contradiction works.
Hey, no tanks. Do you see the thing I posted at 10 minutes past the hour? Is that what you would expect on flat Earth?
I don't know. I'm not looking at it. So, but in reality, on flat
I'll post it again.
Earth, right? Earth doesn't measure flat. What measures flat is the shortest distance. What measures flat is the shortest distance between two verticals being a horizontal straight line distance. Provably, repeatedly, demonstrably, it is the case. I mean, that's just the case.
All right.
When they do it when they do it on a large scale, and they have benchmarks around the world that all measure vertical in relation to a horizontal straight line established by water levels and lasers, etc., and theodolites that measure the angles from a horizontal. They measure again the shortest straight line distance. They calculate, like Napalm was saying, a globe, a geoid, WGS 84 over top of this, due to the earlier observations of disappearance of bottom up looming. Then extrapolated and explained away as Earth curve. It's ridiculous.
All right, so I posted it again at 11
Proven
minutes
by
past the hour. Is this
these.
what you would expect?
You can prove it again with these shortest flight path routes, possible distance through the air being along this route. The shortest possible distance would just be a straight line distance.
So I'm gonna post it again, and then you tell me if this is what you would expect on a
I'm looking
flat
at
Earth.
it. I'm now looking at it. What about it?
Not at all.
Is this
I
when you're
wouldn't
talking
expect
about
that.
poles? Would you not expect that on flat Earth because the surface is flat, right?
Yeah, if you're looking from an orthogonal view, but are you implying that the observer is on the left-hand side, looking towards the right-hand side of this?
All right, I'll post the perspective view then.
Flat does not rise to eye level. That's
No,
incorrect.
Who said that?
Who cares? Flat.
Name yourself.
What I was saying was unrelated to what Napalm was saying. Earth's life is image is showing the ground, the horizon at eye level. That's not what flat is.
Why did flat always say that the horizon
going to
rises
be
to eye level until it pointed
Yeah,
out
that's been
that the
corrected.
horizon doesn't rise to eye level?
Just because one person
Why
said it
did
doesn't.
flat Earth always say that horizon rises to eye level until it was pointed out that it doesn't?
Hey, do you calculate Earth's curvature or is it measured? There's a surveyor outside my truck right now.
You can measure it.
Hey, do you calculate Earth's curvature or is it measured?
Measure it.
Do you measure drop over distance or is it optical?
No, you can measure that too.
It's optical?
No, you can measure.
He says it's optical.
I didn't say that.
It's optical. It's not Earth curve, right?
No, you can measure.
That's hilarious. I should have fucking opened. I know. No, I was just yelling at a surveyor out my truck window. I said, "Do you measure drop over distance? Do you measure Earth curvature?" He says, "No, it's optical."
Well, why?
You should
why
have
do they
taped
have
him,
the
bro. You should have taped him.
Dude,
Well, then why do
I'm
they have?
tempted to go back, but there's so much construction here. It's going to take me an hour to get to my house.
Well, why would they have to do
Otherwise,
that?
turn around and go. Shit.
Why would they
Probably
have to
should.
do that? I mean, if there's
So
no
that's
curvature, why
live
would?
for you, done live. He asked the construction worker live, and he told him.
Yeah,
so.
that's a.
I ask
Yeah,
people
that's
like
good.
Ned, Flatty, and whoever else, like if he does that again, just shut up. Like if he does circle back, just don't talk. You know.
Yeah,
Dude,
why would they have to calculate in a curvature though if it doesn't exist? I mean, just ignore it, right?
it's no, they put it in there because that's what their coordinate system is based on.
But why? If it's not there,
Because navigationally, you want to use the coordinate system because observationally, when you view the world in a spherical manner, meaning all your observations that you're going to make are always going to be in a hemispherical manner, you have to navigate in that way because you're always drawing everything back to a single point perspective.
but why would they
Simple.
have? There's answering the question.
I
If it's
literally
not
just
there,
told you.
couldn't they just
But
no? If
why?
it's
You
not
sound like a
there,
child.
it's not there, right? If you're claiming it's not actually there, why not just ignore it?
Because it's optical, because that's how we observe the world. So if we want to navigate in the world based on a single point observer, you need to understand how you're visually seeing the world and how you need to navigate it based off
We're
of
not talking about.
everything.
We're not talking. You're talking about surveying. Now you're talking about navigating. What are you talking about?
You asked me why it needs to be calculated into a coordinate system.
Surveying. Why are they accounting for curvature in surveying?
They only do that over long distances.
But why? If it's not actually curving, why would you do that?
For their mapping purposes.
For what? If it's not there, why would they do that?
I told you, because that's what their coordinate system is based off of.
Why is it based off that?
Because a single point observer navigating this world needs to understand how to navigate the world.
Man, we're not talking about navigating. We're talking about surveying.
Oh my God, dude! So
And
a surveyor only deals with Earth's curvature when they're a geodetic surveyor. All these people do planar surveying. The guy I just spoke to is doing short distance. Like he's got two auto levels over here, and he's doing short distances. Everything he's doing is planar.
Of course. Why would he? If he, I mean, short distances. Why would you account for it? Of course.
Exactly. When do you start to account for it? You don't actually account for it. You just go ahead and plug in the calculation, and you build your coordinate system. You don't actually measure it, like I said before.
I mean, of course. Why would you? I mean, now long distances, of course. And the manuals tell you that you have to account for it, or you're going to have an error.
No, you don't have to account for it.
Yes, the manuals say that.
What error are you going to get?
You're gonna get an error due to curvature of the Earth.
An error for
your
what?
measurement is going to be higher. Your measurement is going to be higher than it should.
Over what
and
distance?
The farther you go, over 10 square miles. Oh no, I'm sorry, 100 square miles.
What's the effective
there is no
range of
error.
satellite?
They don't
It's not 100
calculate
miles
in the
in one.
curvature of the Earth over 10 square miles. It's flat.
And that's way beyond the effective range of the measurement equipment too.
And guess what? Those 10 square miles attach to another 10 square miles, which attach to another, and they're all flat. You only bend it when you want to get your coordinate system that you use for navigating by the stars. That's it.
I don't know. For some reason, when I look at the manuals, they say they have to account for it. I don't know. Why would they do that?
Are you a surveyor?
Guess it's all built. The lie is built. No, the manuals say that. I'm not a surveyor.
No surveyor does observations where they need to account for the Earth curvature. The only thing they account for is optical. The dude just yelled it to me.
Just what, the guy on the side of the road holding the freaking the measuring rod?
That's
the guy on the side of the road that has 4 GPS things set up, 2 auto levels, has a vest on that's reflective, and a hard hat, who's actually building something using the methodology that you claim he's incorrect about.
Okay, how much curvature do you think there is like 100 feet or 1,000 feet? Probably not much, right? So
Okay,
I don't
cool.
think it
Well,
has.
guess what? That
I
1,000
don't think
feet
he has
connects
to.
to another 1,000 feet, which connects to another 1,000 feet. And if they're
Yeah,
all just
over.
flat,
How
where's
do
the
we
Over
know?
long.
curvature?
How do we know
They're gonna have.
specifically? How do we know specifically it's flat? Because a lot of things could be happening, curving up, curving down. What's telling us that
Yep.
it's level specifically?
Because the shortest
They,
possible distance between the verticals is the horizontal
that's
distance.
a good question, right? They use a datum. Elevation is different than flat, right? So the datum is
Oh,
flat,
yes.
and then they use elevation differences, right? So
So
unless
what
they
are
want
they
to
doing?
establish a horizontal and measure up or down, right, rise or fall, based on that horizontal, then you don't have an actual measurement of it. Everything that you're doing over distance with a theodolite is optical, like the surveyor just yelled at me.
Yeah, like Glory. I mean, maybe I'm way off base, but the thing that affirms that the distance is horizontal is that it's the shortest possible distance between the two vertical points.
So what I just posted is incorrect then, because
And then when you connect
effective curve.
any more, like you said, if you connect three of them and it's still between the 3 points, the shortest possible distance being horizontal, then those
This is
3 points are coplanar, proving that vertical is
yeah,
perpendicular
but
horizontal.
I asked
That's
specifically
the
what's
key is proving that they're coplanar,
I
but they're
asked
not.
specifically what's
That's
telling us that it's like flat, and you guys said the shortest possible thing. Well, the shortest possible
that's
thing
what I
that
said.
also applies for concave Earth. So I want to know how are what we're observing that it's not curving down, it's not curving up, but actually it's
It wouldn't apply to any.
and not just at the end point that we're observing, but also in between the middle point. That's a big one. I don't know if this community's ever
Yeah.
messed with that one before. So
Well, that's like, yeah, so it's only possible in Euclidean 3D reality, right? In using that geometry, the shortest distance between two verticals, because anything between the two verticals takes up space in 3D reality. So the top and the bottom would be two parallel lines. That's only the case in Euclidean geometry, with verticals being perpendicular. It wouldn't be the case on concave or globe.
what do the Globers think? This is exclusive evidence. Does this prove it?
Prove what?
Prove what?
That
Yeah,
it's
what would
level
prove?
and stationary. And for the flat Earth's case, does this?
No, because anytime we look at long distances, things that are taller than us fall below our eye level, which shouldn't happen.
Optically, yeah, it just that's I mean that's the thing that optically may happen due to the atmosphere or whatever reasons we want to invoke. This just proves that level is horizontal repeatedly. The planar surveyors, all they do is prove that level is horizontal every day. That's it.
No, that's okay. Well, whatever.
There we have it then. Any
I
other
mean, we
Globers?
all hold on, concave guy. We all know level is perpendicular from plumb. So I mean, there's your flat Earth right there, right, B-ball?
Well, how do we explain things that are taller than us falling below our eye level, man?
Are you doubting that level is perpendicular from plumb?
I didn't say that, man.
So you're saying it is perpendicular from plumb, right?
Of course.
That's
Oh
fucking
no, not
One
horizontal,
point.
this
bro. That's
again.
level. That means level's horizontal. That's
Oh,
welcome to flat Earth. Welcome
Jesus,
to
that
flat
must
Earth,
mean the Earth
people.
is flat. Oh,
Yeah, if
ignore
level's horizontal,
all
yeah,
the
you're
other.
definitely not gonna have a horizontal level on a globe.
Let's ignore all. I can put a level on the parking lot that I'm in right now. Does that mean the Earth is flat, man? Come on.
If it's horizontal, it does.
Oh my God, stop it, Jeremy! Please stop it, man.
You're saying
Are
level
you
being
kidding me?
horizontal?
Really,
Are
you
you
can put
saying
a
level
level
being
on the ground in a
horizontal
parking lot
doesn't?
and prove that
Hold
the
on.
Earth is flat?
Are
Really?
you saying that
Seriously?
level? Are you saying that level
Listen,
being horizontal is not flat Earth?
no, it's not flat Earth, man.
So
Come on, Jeremy.
level's horizontal on a globe. That's what you're telling me?
No, man. Level curves on a globe, man.
Yeah, so
Level
it can't be
everywhere.
horizontal then,
Level.
right, people? So if I told you level was horizontal, you would say
What's
no.
the difference
It
between
can't be.
what's the difference between level and horizontal on a globe model? What's the difference?
On a globe,
Just
horizontal
so we know,
on the globe, horizontal is a
horizontal.
straight line, and level is a. You want the answer or not?
Go ahead.
On a globe,
At every point,
levels
at
on a
every
globe. Oh
point
God,
on a
John, dude, pay
level
attention to the
surface.
VC, dude.
SC or Napalm, if
This
I
is
to
so
mod
ridiculous. I mean,
John to
Pay
jump in
this
on
attention to the
Jeremy.
argument
VC, John. I was trying to answer
is
V-ball.
so ridiculous because
It
there's
is.
no
Yeah, John,
reason
please,
to be
man,
Hold on, I gotta.
arguing
John,
here.
hold on. I'm trying to mod here. Please let Jeremy and somebody else go, not you, John. They were in the middle of something. Thanks, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, level on a globe curves around the globe, and horizontal
Yes.
on a globe is a straight line.
Yes.
Yeah, so so level obviously can't be horizontal on a globe, right?
No.
Okay, so
Over
you
a
can't
very,
say
very short
you can't say levels perpendicular from plumb. That's horizontal.
well, on a very, very short distance, they could almost be the same thing, sure.
No, they can never be the same thing. You
So
you
in
have to
1
have
foot,
drop. You have to have drop from the horizontal. You can't have level being horizontal. You have to have it drop from every point.
over a long distance, sure, but like in
Over
1
an
foot,
inch, over a nanometer, it
horizontal,
has to drop.
over within 1 foot, horizontal and level could be the exact same thing.
Even
Exact
over
same thing.
100, even over 100 meter, you couldn't measure
Hold
it with
on,
your
let
devices.
Jeremy and him go at it, bro. Hold on.
No, I'm good, man. I'm at work. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, all right.
You couldn't measure it, man.
Go ahead,
So
Snooze.
the difference between level and horizontal on a globe, you could definitely not measure it within, let's say, 200 meters or so.
I was
600,
told that the
600
level
feet.
surface drops from the
It's
tangent at 8 inches per mile squared. So I mean, that's what I was told.
yeah, 8
Yeah, but
inches per
over
mile. Can you make a mile long measurement? You cannot. You cannot. Maybe some surveyors can. You cannot. And if you try over 100 meter, it's immeasurable the difference between globe and flat Earth.
Everybody can do it. It is not difficult to
Go
carry
ahead.
a line over distance. Everybody can do it. You just get the shortest possible. You just get vertical posts, put them in the ground, just like I said earlier to the other guy.
What are you talking about the
You put
shortest
vertical posts into the ground. You make sure they're vertical. You put a little plumb against, you put a level against it, and you just carry a straight line, the shortest possible distance. You can measure up and down.
You know what that sounds like?
Next,
That
How
sounds
much
exactly like this
difference?
right here.
vertical, and make sure it's the shortest possible distance. Anybody can do it. It would
Okay,
probably.
how
I
much
mean, listen. It would
difference
take.
would you
I did
expect
the
on a
math
globe?
before. I think it's like you need like 44 posts, right? And if you have them at like 40 feet apart, you get like a range finder or a laser measure. Bosch does 200 feet. You could, just getting the man out. You could do it in like 14 hours with two
So
guys. You can do it in 7 hours. What do you mean you can't do it? It's ridiculous.
the thing is, you have to
How long does it take
account
to put?
for
How long
both
does it take to
models.
put 40?
You have to account for both models. So you have to think, what would you measure on a globe and what would you measure on a flat Earth? So go ahead and enlighten us which distance and what measurements you would expect on a globe.
Dude, you
If
can't
you
even
have
do it.
not
It
done
doesn't
that
matter. If you
calculation,
just like
you're
a theory
just
or something
talking
you want to
bullshit.
you can't even put 40 posts in the ground. You can't even do it, dude. You can't take 7 hours of your life to put 40 posts in the ground. You think it's an impossible achievement. You can't do
No,
it.
it would be absolutely easy on a globe and it would not be distinguishable from a flat Earth. That's exactly the point.
I was told that the level surface drops from the tangent, horizontal tangent, at 8 inches per mile square.
Yeah. And
You can't walk a mile in anybody's shoes, man. You just can't walk
your
a mile. You
posts
don't know what
are
a
not
mile
1
is.
mile
Drop
distance.
out.
Your
You
posts
don't
are
know
not
what a
1
mile
mile
is. Just drop
distance.
out. You can't do a mile, dude. You
You're
can't keep up.
measuring step by step, and in every step you calculate the error. In every step, you cannot
Dude, you don't even know
distinguish
what a
the
mile is.
difference
What
between
error? Just do it.
flat or globe.
Hold
Just
on, let
do
me
it.
ask No Tanks. No Tanks. Isn't that exactly what I just posted? How they'll all be the same height?
I don't know what you posted.
The same thing I posted before with the red lines. If you took a
Yeah,
theodolite,
something at the same elevation will remain at the same elevation. That's just a tautology. It's just the case. Yeah.
exactly. That will be visible everywhere on Earth, right? And this is exactly what you're explaining.
Visible? You can do this with your eyes closed. If you just get like a certain length of string or something, and you just hold it taut, and you go up against the. You can do it with your eyes closed. You don't have to view it. You don't have to look at it. You can just.
It would be like this, right? Like let's say the bottom of this right here is water, and this is 15 miles long. All of those posts would be the same height, correct?
I mean, all posts at the same height would be the same height. Yeah.
Exactly. But when we do this in reality, what do we see? We see things
We
that
see
are
that
taller that drop below.
whatever you see doesn't contradict the measurements that are made. The measurements that are made
Right here.
prove something. The thing that
here.
you're seeing has other you can say, I don't know, I'm seeing it because I'm squinting my eyes weird. I don't know why you're seeing it
Your
that way.
measurement
But it
does not prove
measures the
anything
shortest
because you
distance
have
between two
absolutely no
verticals, and you
accuracy in
can
your
do it over
measurements.
and over, and you can show that if you do it again on top of those posts, you'll prove again, which has been proven every day of every construction worker's life or every planar surveyor's life, that horizontals are parallel. I mean, it's silly to argue anything different.
No, you can
No
do
thanks.
reciprocal zenith angles, and you will definitely demonstrate that two verticals are not
You're just
parallel.
arguing talking points. You've never even walked a mile. I don't know who you are anymore.
No
You
thanks.
can't
No
even do a
thanks.
mile.
I have done reciprocal zenith angles myself, and it
You
is
don't even know
not
what a mile
parallel.
is, dude.
No thanks. You see that red line on the horizon? That building is 15 stories tall.
Right.
The
Tall with
crosshairs
a
are
measure.
11.
Yeah. Well,
The crosshairs are 11 feet above the water.
So FE
There's some.
itself has no answer. What you're asking for,
There's
FE has no answer. The flat earthers on the cutting edge that understand how refraction works have utilized upwards refraction, which makes things sink. So from that building to your eyes, somewhere there's upwards refraction, which makes it sink. The further away it is, the more it's gonna sink. To the point where you may not even see it anymore. So that's the best that there's no other thing you can do. So I don't know what you're asking.
basically, they're claiming that refraction works in the opposite direction.
No, that's not what I said.
No, that's what they're claiming.
What are you trying to get out of them? Like you showed this pictures. What are you trying to get out of them?
Showing that there's drop over distance.
the guy from the truck, just
Crosshairs should be
optical. So, I
building.
mean, I would just trust the guy in the truck.
The crosshair should be at the base of the building. They're not.
I would just say believe the guy in the truck, because when you take the physical world, like unless you're claiming that it's like space-time warping and bending a straight line to give you this apparent short distance between 2 points, I would just drop that whole just chalk it up to who knows, because in reality the physical material or the shortest distance, which is made of nothing, right, can't be bending and warping. So the shortest distance between the 2 points is measurable and demonstrable. So I mean, whatever else is happening to say no, now it's a longer distance when I back far away from it, which would have to be like space-time bending the shortest distance. I don't know what else you'd have to claim there, but I would just throw it out the window and say, well, I'm going to stick with the reality of the situation, knowing that these measurements that are done repeatedly can't be bending and warping because they're just distance measurements.